By way of advice, let me ask you, if I were to have a conversation, interview Vladimir Putin and Zelensky individually, what should I ask them? If you, me, and Vladimir Putin are having a chat, what are good ideas to explore? What are good questions to ask? What are good things to say on or off the mic, once again, that could potentially, even slightly, lessen the amount of suffering in the world caused by this war?
Oh, I think if you get an interview with Vladimir Putin, there's just all sorts of questions you could ask him. And my sense is that Putin is a straight shooter. He's also very knowledgeable about history, and he has simple theories in his head about how the world works. And I think he would level with you, and all you would have to do is just, figure out what all the right questions are. And that would not be hard to do, right? You could ask him, why was he so foolish? This is for example, why was he so foolish as to trust Poroshenko, Hollande, and Merkel in the Minsk Accords? Why, after his famous talk at Munich in 2007, where he made it clear that he was so unhappy with the West, did he continue to, in a very important way, trust the West? Why didn't he mobilize the Russian military before late September 2022? Once the negotiations that we were talking about before involving Istanbul and Naftali Bennett, once they broke down, why didn't he immediately mobilize more of the Russian population to fight the war? Just all sorts of questions like that. And then you could ask him questions about, where he sees this one headed. What's the best strategy for Russia if the Ukrainians will not agree to neutrality, right? People like John Mearsheimer say you'll probably take close to half of Ukraine. Is that true? Does it make sense to take Odessa?
And John Mearsheimer also has questions about China, your future relationships with China.
Yeah, I mean, one really important question that I would ask him is if the United States had basically not driven you into the arms of the Chinese, if there had been no war over Ukraine, and the United States had, and its European allies had gone to considerable lengths to create some sort of security architecture in Europe that resulted in you, Vladimir Putin, having good relations with Ukraine. What would your relations with China be? How would you think about that? So there are just plenty of questions you could ask him.
Well, hope burns eternal in my heart. I think probably in Putin's heart and Zelensky's heart, I hope. Because hope is the leap of trust that we've talked about, I think is necessary for de-escalation and for peace.
Well, you realize I have, from the beginning, argued for different policies that were all designed to prevent this war from ever happening.
Yes.
I don't know if you know this, but in 1993, I argued that Ukraine should keep its nuclear weapons. Mm-hmm. I was probably the only person in the West who made that argument. And my argument in 1993, this is in foreign affairs, was that there may come the day when Russia thinks about invading Ukraine. And should that day come, it would be very helpful for preventing war if Ukraine had nuclear weapons.
So military might is essential for maintaining a balance of power and peace.
Well, if you're interested in deterring an adversary, if I'm worried about you coming after me, the best way to deter you is to have military might. And if you're Russia and I'm Ukraine, I'm far weaker than you, right? And having a nuclear deterrent would be very effective at convincing you not to attack me. Because if you attack me, you're threatening my survival. And that's the one circumstance where it is likely that I would use nuclear weapons to defend myself. And given the consequences of nuclear use, you would be reluctant in the extreme to attack me. So that's why I argued in 93 that if Ukraine kept its nuclear weapons, that made war down the road much less likely. And I believe I was correct. And in fact, Bill Clinton, who played the key role in forcing Ukraine to give up its nuclear weapons, now says, he has said it publicly, you can find it on YouTube, that he made a mistake doing that. Furthermore, I argued in 2014 that it made eminently good sense not to continue to push to bring Ukraine into NATO, because the end result is that Ukraine would be destroyed, and Ukraine is being destroyed. So I was deeply interested at the time in making sure that that didn't happen for the good of the Ukrainians, not to mention because stability in Europe is a net positive for almost everybody involved. But people did not listen to me then either.